All right, my friends, EB back here with you, wanting to go over some Agile methodology with you today. And I want to use a place that most of us are familiar with. I'm talking about Disneyland.
Oh boy, you're here!
One of the things that's magical about this place is that it is one of the most perfect examples of tapping into the different aspects of Agile methodology. What do I mean by that? We're talking about Agile, we're talking about iterative, incremental, and hybrid. If you are reading up on the PMBOK, if you're studying for your test, or if you're just wanting to become a better project manager, some of that stuff gets very dry, especially if you don't have an example of what it relates to. So I want to use Disneyland as that example because I think we'll be able to see this very clearly once I explain it. So let's start off by just talking about Disneyland overview very quick. Opened in 1955. There were 5 different lands that were a part of the initial park opening. You had Main Street, Frontierland, Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, Adventureland, and you had rides that were part of those lands. If we were to tap into that incremental aspect of project management, then we're talking about when they added different lands to the park. Most recently, Galaxy's Edge in 2019, just different parts of the park that were opened up. So that's an incremental release. When you're adding something to the product or service that increases the entire thing. Next up, you have iteration, that iterative part of Agile methodology. Iterative would be making a ride better, redesigning a shop. Essentially, it's something usable, get feedback, and then you keep building. Iterative is that next aspect I want to touch on here. Think about Haunted Mansion. Every year, it turns into the Nightmare Before Christmas, or they closed it down completely and they're reopening it, redesigning it. So that's the same service or product, but you're just making that one better. So you're improving a product that's already out there. You're not adding another increment to it. You're not adding anything else, but you're just changing the design, the experience, and how your stakeholders, your customers, how they engage with that product or service. Just as they did with Splash Mountain, you make it that Bayou Adventure, and you're really kind of adapting and you're updating, and that next iteration of that same product or service fits with where you're at today and what maybe your customers want or what your customers are looking for. This is really rooted in that Agile framework and that Agile mindset. We're talking about the rapid nature of these iterations and increments. We're talking about flexibility. We're talking about collaboration, communicating. The Disney enterprise itself has Imagineers, these creative engineers that are exploring new technologies. They're studying the customers. How long are the wait, what merchandise was selling better than the others. You have so many different means to gather feedback that's going to allow you to make a better product. When you take this Agile methodology where you're looking at individuals and interactions over processes and tools, you're looking at working software over comprehensive documentation or just a working product or service. It's not always software. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and then just responding to change over following a plan. So sometimes you're going to get information based on this feedback that's going to change what your plan is. The final aspect of this Agile methodology world, sometimes you will have to go hybrid. You will need that predictive, traditional waterfall approach to certain aspects of doing this, such as the case with Galaxy's Edge. You have a budget, a schedule, you need to get permits and zoning and expectations with your customers. But there's also those aspects of Agile, whether it's talking about how the line's going to flow, what the experience is actually going to be once it's built. You have Agile and predictive in the same context, which makes that very unique, but just important to learn and to know about, to be aware of. So hopefully this gives you an example of how those different aspects of Agile methodology are actually implemented, and something hopefully we're all familiar with. So until next time, EB out here.